Hello friends, subscribe my channel to get latest video update and tap the like button. Dear students, in this video I am going to explain about cephalosporin derivatives which belongs to beta-lactam antibiotics. In this video I have explained the history, chemical classification, structure-activity relationship, important synthesis and use of cephalosporin derivative based on the PCI syllabus. You can also watch the video on antibiotics and other beta-lactam derivatives like penicillin on my YouTube channel. The link of those videos are given in description box. I hope this video will going to help pharmacy students to easily understand the complete chapter on antibiotics. Let's start with the history of cephalosporin. So here on the screen you can see I have mentioned the history of cephalosporin which includes the main point. So the first point is that cephalosporin belongs to the class of beta-lactam antibiotics and it originally derived from the fungus Acremonium, which was also known as cephalosporium. The first chemical compound of cephalosporium group were isolated from Cephalosporium acremonium. It is a cephalosporin producing fungus which was discovered by Giuseppe Watteau in the year 1948 from a sewage outfall of the Sardinian coast. Actually, he noticed that these cultures produce a certain substances that were effective against Salmonella typhi. It is a type of bacteria which causes the typhoid fever and it has beta-lactamase enzyme. The Guy Newton and the Edward Abraham at the Sir William Dunn School of Pathology at the University of Oxford have first time isolated cephalosporin C derivative. The first agent cephalothene was launched by the Eli Lilly and the company in the year 1964. Let's discuss the chemistry of cephalosporin. Here on the screen you can see the common structure of cephalosporin derivatives. So here you can see the yellow color indicate the dihydrothiazine ring. The light green color represent the beta-lactam ring and this light pink color represent acyl side chain. So these are the three main structure which are present in all the cephalosporin derivatives. So here three points are mentioned. The cephalosporin is a bicyclic system. As you can see, bicyclic means two rings are there. Here you can see it has four-membered beta-lactam ring which is fused to a six-membered dihydrothiazine ring system. So here you can see on the screen this is the four-membered beta-lactam ring and it is fused with dihydrothiazine ring. The nucleus of most of the cephalosporin is 7-amino cephalosporinic acid. In short form, it is known as 7-ACA. So here you can see the nucleus of cephalosporin is generally known by the 7-ACA. The nucleus of cephalosporin is bear a close resemble to 6-amino penicillinic acid. So basically the basic structure of cephalosporin and penicillin have beta-lactam ring. The difference is that in penicillin derivative and in cephalosporin derivative that in cephalosporin the dihydrothiazine ring was present and in penicillin the thiazolidine ring is present. So that is the basic difference. In penicillin, thiazolidine ring is present and in cephalosporin, the dihydrothiazine ring is present. Next, we will discuss about the chemical classification. See, the cephalosporin is classified into total 5 category based on the generation. So here in cephalosporin they are classified into first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation and fifth generation. Generally these generation are based on the year. So first generation are the oldest form of cephalosporin derivatives which were found. After that the second generation, third generation, fourth generation, and in the last, the recent drugs comes under the cephalosporin categories, belongs to the fifth generation. So here on screen you are seeing the first generation cephalosporin. Mostly this first generation cephalosporin are more effective against gram-positive bacteria like pneumococci, streptococci, and staphylococci. Here you can see on the screen, and it is effective against gram-negative bacteria like E. coli and pneumonia, pneumonia. So here you can see on the screen the drug name for first generation drugs are there, and the R and the R1. Here you can see this is R1 and this is the R. So in both these R1 and R2, the substituted groups are here on the screen. So according to the different functional group at R and R1, these drugs has been classified. So here you can see cephalexin, cephadroxil, cephaloridine, and cefazolin. These are the example of first generation cephalosporin drugs, and you can see their structure on the screen. Next is second generation drugs. So here you can see the second generation drugs are active against Haemophilus, Enterobacter aerogenes, and Neisseria species. So here you can see the example of second generation drugs like Cephalosporin, Cefprozil, and Cefuroxime. So here you can see their structures also. Next you can see the third generation drugs. These third generation drugs are more effective against the gram-negative bacilli, and they are also resistant to the beta-lactamase producing strain. Because of that resistance, they are more active antibiotics. So here you can see the example for third generation drug. Let's see the fourth generation drug. They are mostly stable against the hydrolysis by plasmid and chromosomal mediated beta lactamase ring. So here you can see the example of fourth generation cephalosporin. Their structures are you can see on the screen. So these are the fourth generation drugs. Now let's see the fifth generation. So in fifth generation, two drugs are there, that is ceftaroline, fosamail, and ceftobiprole. So here you can see their structure on screen. So these are the latest derivatives of cephalosporin which are more active and they have wide spectrum of activity, means they are effective against most of the gram positive and gram negative bacteria. Now let's discuss the SAR of cephalosporin. So here on the screen you can see the common structure of cephalosporin, and here you can see the numbering start from the nitrogen and then carboxyl group, then R1, then 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th position. So here basically the cephalosporin is divided into two major portions. On the position of R at 7th position, this is the acyl amino side chain, and here you can see on third position R1. So on the modification on R1 and R, we will get different derivatives of cephalosporin. So here we are going to study SAR one by one, in which first we are going to discuss about the 7 acyl amino substituents. So this is the 7 acyl amino side chain. So here the in place of R, if different functional groups will be substituted, how they are going to affect the biological activity of this cephalosporin derivative. So let's discuss point one by one. So first we are going to discuss about 7 acyl amino side chain, and the first point is that acylation of amino group will increase the potency against gram positive bacteria, but it will decrease the activity against gram negative bacteria. So here if acylation of amino group, if it is NH2 and it is substituted with acyl group, so the activity against the gram positive bacteria will increase, but somehow the activity against the gram negative bacteria will get decreased. And next is the higher antibacterial activity is observed when the new acyl groups are derived from carboxylic acid for gram-positive bacteria. See, if the acyl group derived from carboxylic acid derivatives at this position R, then it will improve the activity against gram-positive bacteria. Next is the substituent on aromatic ring that increases the lipophilicity will provide higher gram-positive activity and generally lowers the gram-negative activity. So here it means that if any aromatic ring is substituted on this place, it will increase the gram-positive bacteria activity, means the activity will increase against the gram-positive bacteria. Next point, the phenyl ring in the side chain can be replaced with other heterocyclic ring to improve the spectrum of activity. As in the previous point, it was mentioned that if any aromatic ring is present, the activity will get increased against the gram-positive bacteria because there is an increase in lipophilicity. So here, if the R where the phenyl ring is present, it is substituted by other heterocyclic ring that will improve the spectrum of activity. Examples like thiophene, tetrazole, furan, pyridine and aminothiazole. These are the rings which can substitute the phenyl ring to improve the activity against both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. So these are the points where this position, seventh position, will get modified and it will show a improvement against the gram-positive bacteria. Here in all the points we can see the mostly modification on the R will increase the activity against the gram-positive bacteria. Now let's discuss the another position, that is for R1. R1 is present on the carbon 3. Here you can see at third position the R1 is present. This R1 is very important for the biological activity of these derivatives. So here you can see the C3. C3 means the carbon at third position on which this R1 is present as the substituent. So here you can see the nature of C3 substituent will influence the pharmacokinetics and pharmacological properties as well as antibacterial activity. So modification at C3 position has been made to reduce the degradation of cephalosporin. So here we can see that if R1 is substituted with any other group, so it will prevent or it will reduce the degradation or breakdown of cephalosporin derivatives. So here you can see third point, the pyridine and imidazole replaced acetoxy group will show improved activity against Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So here you can see this is our acetoxy group. If this acetoxy group is substituted at this R position, then the activity will get increased against the Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And if this acetoxy group is substituted by the azide ion means the 3 nitrogen azide ion will yield a derivative which has low gram negative activity. Means if we will substitute this acetoxy group on R1 with azide ion or azide salt, the activity will get decreased. Next, the displacement with aromatic thiol of 3-acetoxy group result in the enhancement of activity against gram-negative bacteria with improved pharmacokinetic parameter. Generally, pharmacokinetic parameters are adsorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. So here, if the acetoxy group which was present on R1, if it is replaced with any aromatic thiol, then it will improve the activity against gram-negative bacteria. Next point, the replacement of acetoxy group at C3 position with either methyl CH3 group or Cl means chlorine atom will result into oral active compound. See, if R1 is replaced by methyl group or any electron withdrawing group, the oral activity of the compound will increase or the compound will become oral active. Next, sixth point, the oxidation of ring sulfur to sulfur oxide or sulfone will greatly diminish or destroy the antibacterial activity. So here this is the sulfur atom present on the fifth position. If this sulfur atom is modified into sulfur oxide and sulfone, there is a complete loss of antibacterial activity. So we can say the presence of sulfur is mandatory for antibacterial activity. Next point, seventh point, that is the replacement of sulfur with oxygen leads to the formation of uh, oxazepam. So that will increase the antibacterial activity because it will enhance the acylating power. So here, if this sulfur is replaced with the oxygen, it will increase the antibacterial activity. Similarly, in next point, if the sulfur is replaced with the methylene group, then it will cause the greater chemical stability and longer half-life. So here, if sulfur is replaced with methylene, then also it will affect the pharmacokinetic parameters. Next, ninth point, that is the presence of carboxyl group at fourth position will convert drug into ester product to increase the bioavailability of cephalosporin, which can be orally active. So here, if on fourth position the substitution of carboxylic group will takes place, that will increase the bioavailability of cephalosporin. 10th point, the olefinic linkage is present between third carbon and fourth carbon. Here you can see that is essential for the antibacterial activity. And isomerization of double bond at second and third position will leads to the great loss of antibacterial activity. So here, if these double bond get modified or it is converted into single bond, then there will be a loss of antibacterial activity. So here on the screen you can see this is the compilation of SAR of cephalosporin, which you can easily understand with this diagram. So let me explain once again. We will start from this ring. So here you can see with orange color sulfur. It can be substituted or replaced with oxygen or methyl group. Then next is 6-member thiazolidine ring, that is compulsory for antibacterial activity. Here R2 is the third position, which is responsible for mainly chemical stability and it will affect the antibacterial activity. Then here carboxylic group, it is very useful in the drug formulation and pro-drug development. So here if this COH group is there, as we have already discussed in SAR, esterification will lead to the improvement in pharmacokinetic parameters of drug. And this is the beta-lactam ring. It is also one of the important factor which will produce the antibacterial activity. And this is the carbonyl group. This carbonyl group is very important. So here you can see the lone pair electron located on the nitrogen atom not feed to the carbonyl group to form a stabilized resonance structure. So here it is more prone to electrophilic and nucleophilic attack. Next is here you can see the cis stereochemistry is essential. Here you can see this is the cis isomers are more active in the nucleus. You can see these are the cis position. Next is the R1, which is present on the 7th position. It is a semi-synthetic incorporation. As we already discussed in SAR, R1 can be replaced by any other group to obtain the semi-synthetic derivative. This R1 will influence the antibacterial activity and it affects the binding with beta-lactamase enzyme. So this is overall the SAR points you can see. Now, let's discuss the synthesis of 7-amino cephalosporin acid from cephalosporin C. The cephalosporin C is the naturally obtained derivative. So, from this naturally obtained product, we can synthesize other cephalosporin derivatives. So, here you can see that the cephalosporin C is converted into 7-amino-cephalosporinic acid. You can see the synthetic reaction on the screen. Next is the synthesis of cephalexin. So here phenyl glycine is used as an initial substrate, and then it is further by reacting with other substrate is converted into cephalexin. So here you can see this is the end product, and on the screen you can see the complete synthesis. Next is the synthesis of cefazolin. So here you can see for cefazolin the initial reactant are H tetrazole 1 acetyl chloride and 7-amino cephalosporinic acid. So both these initial substrate will fuse together and acylation reaction will take place. Again this acylated product will fuse with 5-methyl 1,3,4 thiazole 2-thiol, and here you can see the cefazolin was obtained. Next is the synthesis of cefadroxil. So again here the 7-amino cephalosporinic acid and 7-aminodose acetyl cephalosporinic acid, which is also known as 7-ADACA, they will fuse together to convert into cefadroxil. So here you can see the synthetic process. Next is the degradation of cephalosporin or the breakdown of cephalosporin. See, in the PCI syllabus, the degradation and metabolism of beta-lactam antibiotics were mentioned. So here you can see on the screen, due to the different medium, either acidic or basic medium or water, or in the presence of different enzymes, how this cephalosporin will break down. So on the screen you can see the cephalosporin in the presence of acylase enzyme will convert into 7-amino cephalosporinic acid, and simply in the presence of water it is converted into des-acetylcephalosporin. So in this way, the presence of different enzyme will break down this cephalosporin into different derivatives. Next is mode of action of cephalosporin. See, cephalosporin is also a beta-lactam antibiotics. So cephalosporin and penicillin both have same mode of action. So cephalosporin is closely related to the penicillin, and both these drugs have bactericidal effect. So basically they will kill the bacteria. Bactericidal are the compounds which kill the bacteria, and bacteriostatics are the compound which inhibit the growth of bacteria. So here both cephalosporin and penicillin both are bactericidal and they have the same mechanism of action. Cephalosporin disturb the synthesis of peptidoglycan layer present in the bacterial cell wall. See, it also act like a penicillin, and both these derivative inhibit the cross-linking of peptidoglycan layer. So on the screen you can see the cephalosporin will bind with penicillin binding protein PVP, and it will inhibit the cross-linking between alanine and the lysine. Here you can see this is the red color means alanine and this is the purple color means the lysine. So both when they get cross-linked, they will provide the strength to these peptidoglycan layer. So here you can see these two are the peptidoglycan layer. But the cephalosporin, it will bind with this the cephalosporin will bind with this penicillin binding protein, which will inhibit the cross-linking. So here you can see it disturbs the synthesis of peptidoglycan layer of the bacterial cell wall, and this peptidoglycan is a strong structural molecule which is specific in the bacterial cell wall. So when this peptidoglycan layer, it will become weak. So because of that, the cell lysis will takes place. So here you can see the beta-lactam compounds, they generally bind with transpeptidase enzyme. So this transpeptidase enzyme will cause the cross-linking in the cell wall. So here you can see if this transpeptidase get blocked, it will interrupt the cross-linking of cell wall synthesis. So because of that, the cell wall will become weak. As our cell do not have cell wall or peptidoglycan layer, so because of that, the beta-lactam antibiotics are able to target only bacterial cells without harming the human cell. So this is the advantage of this antibiotic derivative, that they will only affect the bacterial cell, not the human cell. Next is the therapeutic uses of cephalosporin derivatives. The uses are classified according to the generation. So here you can see the therapeutic uses of first generation, second generation, third, fourth and fifth generation cephalosporin. So in first generation cephalosporin, they are mostly used against the pharyngitis, tonsillitis, otitis, pneumonia, urinary tract infection, skin infection, bone infection, and surgical prophylaxis. Cefazolin is the drug of choice in surgical prophylaxis. Second generation cephalosporin derivatives are used for upper respiratory tract infection, pneumonia, bone infection, gonorrhea, surgical prophylaxis, and meningitis. So here you can see these are the uses of second generation cephalosporin. Now for third generation cephalosporin, they are used in gonorrhea, meningitis, sepsis, typhoid, surgical prophylaxis, and intra-abdominal infections. Now let's go to the fourth generation cephalosporin. They are used in upper respiratory tract infection, intra-abdominal infection, and febrile neutropenia. Now, the latest cephalosporin generation, that is fifth generation, is used against skin infection. Next, you can see on screen the brand name of various cephalosporin drugs are present in the market with different name. Some of the common adverse effect of cephalosporin treatment is allergic reaction, nephrotoxicity, diarrhea, disulfiram-like reaction, bleeding disorder, and superinfection. But these adverse effects varies from patient to patient. In some patient, these adverse effects will occur, but in most of the patient, these adverse effects will not occur. So basically, it depends on the type of patient. If you like the video, please do subscribe my channel.